Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about No Other Choice, and this movie is directed by Park Chan-wook, the same director as Old Boy, and I've also seen Thirst and The Handmaiden. Those are the three that I've seen. He's also done other stuff like Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Lady Vengeance, which I haven't seen yet, and Decision to Leave, another movie that I would love to check out at some point, and a whole bunch of others. Every single movie that I've seen from him I've really loved and would like to see again. And just like all of those three movies I just mentioned, this movie was awesome. I found it to be very engaging. I loved the look of this movie. It's a visually striking movie as well. There's so much going on in every frame of this movie, and it's just beautiful to look at. And I love the tone of this movie. Despite it being kind of a somewhat dark subject, this is also actually a comedy, and it's never afraid to be funny. And when it's trying to be funny, it's actually very effective at being funny. And I was getting a lot of enjoyment from that. I really love the tone of this movie. And whenever we get tonal shifts in this movie, they always feel natural. They never feel as though it's thrown in there because they just felt like doing that. It always feels like a natural progression in the story. And it doesn't ever feel like, oh, one half of the movie is like that, the other half is kind of dark. It's always a mix of both, but it always works. And there's great dialogue in this movie. The characters are very well realized and very well written, and they feel like real people almost. And even if the things that they're doing is kind of absurd at times, I do really like where things go, and ultimately where the story wounds up taking us, and the impact it has on all these different characters, and it affects them in different ways. And that's another thing that I love, is that the characters are always very distinct, and this movie is almost 2.5 hours long, and I never once felt the runtime. It always flew by for me, and going back to the characters, they all felt very distinct, and I can't really talk too much on how this story impacts these characters because I don't want to spoil anything. Not that there's not a way to talk about what happens to these characters narratively without spoiling it, but I just don't feel as though it's gonna slip out of my mouth by accident and I'll just spoil something. So just trying to keep things safe here and keep it spoiler free because I do think this is something you should check out. And I would love to see this movie again. I really love the experience, and I do love how things just keep escalating and it doesn't stop. And the way things get resolved in this movie without spoiling anything, I really loved. And it kind of took some directions I wasn't expecting, and I really love that about the movie. I was happy to watch a movie where I could be surprised by how things were presented in a film. And also, there's some really great editing choices in this movie as well that help with the story. And just with a couple simple edits, and this is kind of the antithesis of Insomnia, 1997, that I just talked about, where every editing choice benefits the film, and sometimes you get a little flashback, but it helps you just enough to where it's like, oh, that's why this is important, and you would want to show that. And sure, maybe you could make the argument it could possibly be taken out of the movie. That's fair enough, but at the same time, a couple of things. One, it's just one shot, and B, I do feel as though there's a lot of information in this movie that's being presented to where if that wasn't there, I do feel as though it might have lessened the impact a little bit, if not significantly, because I do feel as though how information is presented in this movie is very important. And I also, and without spoiling anything, once again, I do like how the main character has like a toothache and how that comes into play into the film, and what it ultimately represents to me at the very least was kind of interesting and served somewhat of a purpose at the very least. And as things were getting set up, I was getting some Breaking Bad vibes, but ultimately that's not what this movie is. It's kind of its own thing, and sure, you could make some comparisons to it as far as the plot goes, like little tiny things, but as a whole, I don't really feel so that's what it's going for. This is not something that affected my experience at all, and it's not even an issue with the movie, but one thing that I kind of want to point out and talk about a little bit is the poster, the one that I'm currently showing you right now. I'm just going to put it out there and say it's not one of my favorites. And sure, there are other posters that this movie has that is on either IMDb or any other websites and whatnot. Just the one where the main character is holding up a pot and looks like he's going to throw it. To me personally, just the way it looks, kind of looks like it's promoting a B movie, I'm not going to lie. Like something you would see in a lesser quality film, but that's not to say that it hurt my experience. But when I first saw that poster, I was like, what is this? Is this some kind of like B movie? Laugh at the movie because it's so bad, get drunk with a bunch of friends and have a good time type movie. But no, it's a Park Chan-wook film and it's awesome. So if you do see that poster, don't get the wrong idea thinking that it's a B movie or anything. It's not. It's actually pretty great. And I just really love this movie, and definitely check this movie out whenever you get the chance. I would highly recommend that you do so. Really loved it, and whenever we get a movie that's as good as this, I always value the experience and would love to see it again. So with all that being said, I'm going to give No Other Choice a 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below your thought of No Other Choice, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Fallen Angels. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.